because I do want to try to finish Midsummer Night's Dream relatively quickly, like within half an hour, so that we can get into As You Like It. And I wore my Midsummer Night's Dream t-shirt today just because this is one of my favorite quotes from Shakespeare. So we left off Act 3, Scene 2 with the four lovers in the wood, okay, and everything has become confused because of Puck's putting the love juice onto Lysander's eyes, so that now nobody loves Hermia, okay? We'll take that back. Demetrius still loves Hermia. But he's going to get the love juice put on his eyes so that he later loves Helen, or actually he's had it put on. Sorry, I'm confused. A little asleep last night. And I want to pick up with where we actually did leave off, which is on page 169, the right-hand column, around line 345. Okay? Oberon and Puck come forward. They've been on the stage this whole time, while Helena and Hermia have been arguing. And Hermia, at one point launches at Helena, okay, with her nails out to gouge her eyes out. And Demetrius and Lysander kind of pull her away and protect Helena. And Oberon says to, now it's getting really hot in there. Oberon says to Puck, "This is thy negligence. Still thou mistakes." In other words, you always screw up. Okay. Now remember what I said at the beginning of class about Puck and the word is actually of Indo-European origin, and you have these Puck or Pukish type characters throughout kind of Indo-European literature, and you can almost think of them today as like a poltergeist, a spirit that likes to play games, misplace your keys and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what Oberon means here. You always do things like this. Okay? Or, that is, you're always a screw-up. Or, you do it intentionally. Okay, the first is, you can't help yourself, Puck. It's accidental. The second is, or you intend to play around with the minds of these humans. Puck, not my fault. Believe me, king of shadows. Aren't shadows very similar to dreams? Dreams have no substantiality. They are insubstantial. So are shadows. Try to catch a shadow. It always flees from you. Okay? Did you not tell me I should know the man by the Athenian garments he had on? He says, look. As for their jangling, that is, their arguing, I consider that a sport. That is, something to be watched. Something to give me entertainment. Okay? So, Oberon gives him additional directions. These lovers, Demetrius, Lysander, they seek a place to fight. That is, they're going to answer this with the sword. So, lead them someplace, he says, and put them all asleep. Put them asleep in such a fashion so that when Lysander wakes up, who will he see? Who does Lysander love at the beginning of the play? Hermia. Okay. When Demetrius wakes up, who will he see? Helena. Why? Because she's going to remove the love juice off Lysander's eyes. Okay. And he's going to keep it or put it on Helena's eyes. So that Lysander will, as he says, let me back up. Line 367. Crush this herb into Lysander's eye, whose liquor hath this virtuous property, to take from thence all error with his might. Okay? It's going to remove, he says, his false sight and make his eyeballs roll with wonted sight. That is, the sight they used to have. Meaning, Lysander's eyes will what? Roll only on Hermia. He will gaze only on Hermia. So that when they next wake, when these four lovers wake up, all this derision. What does derision mean? What does it mean to deride something? To break it down, to take it down, to make fun of it. All this derision, all this lack of rationality shall seem a dream and fruitless vision. Why fruitless? Nothing will come of it. It'll just be a bad dream. Okay? He says, and then the lovers will go back to Athens with league whose date till death shall never end. What shall never end?
Their love.
Their love. Notice, Oberon is saying something here about love. If it's real love, it never ends. When does it end? Take it back. Death. Till death do us part. Okay?
Which is interesting considering his love isn't doing too well.
Very true. Okay? Very true. Is it that he no longer loves Titania, however? No, there's a wrinkle in their relationship. They merely need to iron out the wrinkle. What's the wrinkle? The little changeling boy. Okay? He's just saying, give me the boy. Everything will be fine. So he says, meanwhile, I'm going to go find Titania and beg her Indian boy. Why? Because while she's in the state she is in, she'll give me what I want. What state is she in? Is it merely that she loves Bottom and that's all? Is everything else fine with Titania? No. She's not in her right mind. Okay? So not being in her right mind, she is susceptible to easy persuasion. Okay? So, Puck leads the four lovers up and down. He throws his voice, makes himself sound like Demetrius to Lysander, so Lysander follows him, makes himself sound like Lysander to Demetrius, so Demetrius follows him, whatever. And he gets them all to lie down in a fog so that they're not aware when Lysander goes to sleep that Hermia is right next to him. And that when Demetrius goes to sleep, Helena is right next to him. Okay? So, Act 4, Scene 1. Titania enters. Okay? With her train, she calls her fairies to produce music. Why? So that she and Bottom can lie in her bower and fall asleep. And they do. She has Bottom in her arms. Okay? Ass's head, human body. And Puck comes in. And Oberon comes forward. Okay? What does that mean, he comes forward? He's been on the stage the whole time. He hasn't left the stage. Okay? And he says, look, Robin, seest thou this sweet sight? Her dotage now I do begin to pity. In other words, this is too much. For meeting her of late behind the wood, seeking sweet favors for this hateful fool, that is, she was looking for things to bestow on Bottom. He says, I did upbraid her and fall out with her, and she gave me the changeling boy. That's the upshot. So he says, now, what's he going to do? Gentle Puck. Let me back up. Line 62, I guess. Now I have the boy. I will undo this hateful imperfection of her eyes. And, gentle Puck, take this transformed scalp from off the head of this Athenian swain, that he, awaking when the other do, who are the other? The lovers. Okay? May all to Athens back again repair. And think no more of this night's accidents, but as the fierce vexation of a dream. May Bottom and the others all think it's what? A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's it. But first I will release the Fairy Queen. He goes to her, squeezes the juice on her eyes, and says, be as thou wast wont to be. Be as you used to be. Meaning what?
Love me.
In love with me. See as thou wast wont to see. Meaning, see Bottom for what he really is. See me for what I really am. Dian's bud or Cupid's flower hath such force and blessed power. Wake, my Titania. She wakes up, my Oberon. Why my? Why not just Oberon? What's the my imply? She's re-enamored. What do lovers, how do lovers, okay, I'll admit my predilections here in my own age. How in the past did lovers refer to each other? Mine. Not somebody else's, mine. We use that possessive pronoun. Okay? My Oberon, what visions have I seen? In other words, she's aware of what she's been seeing for the last however many hours. Methought I was enamored of an ass. And he kind of, depending upon, the production, I've seen some where he physically, very gently, takes her head and turns it so that she sees Bottom lying next to her. And she's startled. There lies your love. Sometimes he merely points. How came these things to pass? Oh, how mine eyes do loathe his visage now. Why? She sees correctly. But it's not mere perception. It's her sight is working in conjunction with her mind, which is also working what? In conjunction with her heart. Remember one of Bottom's first statements to her about love and reason are not good neighbors anymore and how they should be? Her love and her reason are now working in tandem, how they ought to be. Okay? Oberon, shh. In other words, shh, it's just a bad dream. It'll be okay. Robin, take off this head. And now he does. And Puck says, and when thou wakes with thine own fool's eyes peep. Why is he called Bottom a fool? Lo, what fools these mortals be. Because to Puck, we're all fools. Okay? So, Theseus says, I'll explain to you what's been going on. And he says, but tomorrow night, what do we have to do? Well, tomorrow is the wedding. So how many days have passed? Tomorrow will be the 4th day. 3 days have passed. Seemingly in the wood. Or at least 2 days. Because when Lysander talks to Hermia, he says, tomorrow let's meet in the wood. Okay? So they spend 2 days in the forest. Right? So Theseus, his train come in. And the fog is cleared, and they see the 4 lovers on the ground. Aegeus, well, this is my daughter. And that's Lysander next to her. He's immediately jumping to conclusions. Okay? And, well, here's Demetrius, and there's Helena. I wonder of their being here together. I wonder means what? Is he just saying, I wonder why they're here? Wonder there means I am amazed. I am astonished. He's dumbfounded that they are all 4 here together. Why? Last time he saw them, what were Demetrius and Lysander, getting ready or willing to do? Fight one another for Hermia's hand. Okay? So, they wake them up, and Theseus addresses the four. I know you two, this is line 142 or so. I know you two are rival enemies. How comes this gentle concord in the world? Concord. It's the opposite of what?
Discord.
Discord. Where did the discord begin? Did it begin with Hermia and Lysander loving each other and leaving Demetrius out? Nope. It began before the opening of the plague. With what happened that we're told about? Nope, it's before that. It's Titania taking the changeling boy, Oberon demanding him of her, and she says no. That all happens before the play opens. That's why there is this discord in the, remember the phrase I wrote over here the other day? The great chain of being. There's problems in the human realm because there's problems in the fairy realm. Well, what has happened to the fairy realm? The discord is now gone. There is concord between the king and queen of the fairies. Okay? So, how comes this gentle concord in the world? That hatred is so far from jealousy, to sleep by hate and fear no enmity. Demetrius and Lysander, how could you two sleep so close to each other and not fear that the other one will get up in the middle of the night? He says, I shall reply amazedly. In other words, the amazedly means not really with reason. I don't understand. Half sleep, half waking. But, if I remember right, Hermia and I came here to get wed. Maybe he should have left that part out. Because what's he saying? Where we might, without the peril of the Athenian law, where we could get married and not suffer under your law, Duke, but also whose law? Aegeus. Aegeus, that's it. Enough. I've heard enough. They were going to get married. My daughter, either what? Dies, marries Demetrius, becomes a nun. Okay? Demetrius says, that's right, and Helena told me of their plans, and I came here following them. Fair Helena. Notice he calls her fair now twice. Earlier, he didn't refer to her as fair Helena, but he says, but my good Lord, I wot not by what power, but by some power it is, my love to Hermia, melted as the snow. Seems to me now as the remembrance of an idol god, which in my childhood I did dote upon. What does he mean by a god? G-A-U-D. A flashy bauble. A flashy toy. Something that drew his eyes. Okay? In his childhood. But now he's saying, no longer in my childish mind, I've grown up. What? All the faith, the virtue of my heart, the object and the pleasure of mine eye is only Helena. And the aftermander, Lysander's kind of go, glad that's taken care of. Okay? And he says, to her, my lord, was I betrothed ere I saw Hermia. Betrothed. That's not just what was said at the beginning of the play, that he made love to sweet Nador's daughter, that he courted her, that he wooed her. In other words, he wined and dined her. He's saying, we were engaged. And then I saw Hermia. But like a sickness did I loathe this food. What? Shakespeare's working on the Renaissance notion that sometimes the thing that we need to heal us, that's the thing, the exact thing we don't want. Why? How does medicine usually taste? It's not good. Now, however, he says, I do wish it, love it, long for it, and will forevermore be true to it. Fair lovers, you are fortunately met. And he says, Aegeus, overruled. These two will marry. In fact, you'll not only marry, you'll get married on the same day we get married. We're not going to have one wedding. We're going to have 3 weddings. Okay? Theseus, his train lead. We have the 4 lovers. Demetrius. These things seem small and undistinguishable, like far-off mountains turned into clouds. Far-off mountains turned into clouds, in other words, are what? Are they real? Are they the mountains you climb right here and right now that are a big struggle? No. They're like mirages. Okay? Hermia. Methinks I see these things with parted eye. Notice the gloss. Parted. Improperly focused. Like a dream or like a shadow. When everything seems double. Demetrius, you sure we're awake? Are we sure we're not still dreaming? Seems to me we still dream. Wasn't the Duke just here? Yeah, didn't he say we're going to get me? Yeah. Okay. So, Bottom wakes up, and what's he thinking of? He's not remembering immediately, at least, the love he had. He's thinking the play. Most fair Pyramus. And then he starts to remember. God's my life, stolen hence and left me asleep. I have had a most rare vision. I have had a dream, past the wit of man to say what dream it was. Okay, now, notice what he's just said. This dream is past the wit of man to say what it was. The wit of man means the intellect. Okay? So if it's past the intellect to say, then what can you say about the dream? Nothing. You can't put it into words. And yet Bottom attempts to. What does he say? Man is but an ass if you go about to expound this dream. Well, he did have an ass's head on for a while. Methought I was, there is no man can tell what. Methought I was, and methought I had, but man is but a patched fool if he will offer to say what methought I had. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen, man's hand is not able to taste, his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report what my dream was. Notice what Bottom has done throughout that little speech just now. The eye of man hath not heard? No. Eye of man hath not seen is what it should be. The ear of man hath not seen? No, the ear of man hath not heard. Man's hand is not able to taste? No, that should be to touch. Okay. What is this telling us about Bottom? Fool. He is a fool. Okay. He's echoing, however, biblical language. St. Paul talking about the ear of man hath not heard, the eye hath not seen. What this person that he knew, he says, who visited heaven, okay, could report, because the person couldn't report. So he says, I'll get Peter Quince to write a ballad of this dream, and it shall be called Bottom's Dream, because it hath no bottom. That is, it's so deep, it cannot be plumbed. And I will sing it in the latter end of a play. Before the Duke, maybe. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, Quince, Flute, Snug, etc., they all come in. Snout, the others, all come in. And they run back off to Athens. Act 5, Scene 1. Hippolyta, Theseus, they're sitting down. Okay. It apparently is after the wedding. This is now the wedding entertainment. Hippolyta, 'tis strange, my Theseus, what these lovers speak of. Now what she really means is, you really believe this? I mean, come on. You really believe what they're telling you? And Theseus gives us one of my favorite speeches by any of Shakespeare's characters. More strange than true. More strange. He means more unbelievable than true. I never may believe these antic fables, nor these fairy toys. Antic. Notice how I'm pronouncing that. That is the pronunciation that would have been close to Shakespeare's. Okay? We read that word because it's spelled a certain way, and we say antique, meaning really old. It has both that meaning and antic. What is somebody who is antic?
Crazy.
Could be crazy, might not be literally crazy, but put the fur in front of it. Frantic. Nervy, jumpy. Okay? He says, I never may believe these antique fables nor these fairy toys. That is, nor stories about fairies. Why? Theseus is saying, I am a strict rationalist. I only believe what I can see, what can be proven, etc. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. Okay. Lovers, madmen, he's going to throw in another group, right? And poets. He's going to say they're all alike. Okay? Go back to what he says. Their brains are seething. What does that mean? When you seethe something, what do you do to it? It boils. Their brains are hot. Well, what happens if your brain gets really hot? Like if you've had the flu that's been going around. If your temperature hits 103, 104, maybe 105,
Delusional.
you're delusional. You have a hallucination. You see things that other people around you don't see. And yet you think they're what? Real. They have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies, imaginations that shape, that is, they give form. That apprehend. What does apprehend mean? It's different than comprehend. Apprehend means you reach out, you grab it. Comprehend means you understand it. Taking hold of something and understanding something, those are two different things. Okay? But lovers and madmen have such shaping fantasies that they apprehend. They take hold of more than cool reason ever comprehends. Cool reason, cold, calculating, rational thought. Which Shakespeare / Theseus talking about. I think he's saying lovers, madmen, and poets, because you're going to include them too in a moment. They touch things that reason cannot explain. Reason cannot comprehend. Does that mean the things they apprehend, the things they grab, are not real? Not necessarily. But those are things that cannot necessarily be evaluated, be measured, be objectified, be tested. Okay? He goes on. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. That is, they are, notice, compact. They're made of the same thing. Imagination. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That's the madman. That's the lunatic. And keep in mind, in Shakespeare's day, there is a place in London called Bedlam, short for Bethlehem, which was the insane asylum. Okay? people every now and then would get out and wander the streets. The lover, all as frantic, what? Sees Helen's beauty, Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, more beautiful than Aphrodite. Aphrodite didn't really like that. Sees Helen's beauty, what? In a brow of Egypt. What does he mean, in a brow of Egypt? In a dark-skinned woman. Okay? Little bit of biographical criticism here. A lot of people suggest that in Shakespeare's sonnets, the dark lady that some of the sonnets are addressed to was a lover of Shakespeare's and was a Moor, was black. Okay? We even have a couple of names given for this person. I don't think Bevington mentions that at all in his introduction. I'll have to find some of my notes if you're interested. Okay? Because he has several sonnets that talk about this lover as being dark of skin, having wiry black hair. Okay? So notice what Theseus has just said. The lover, who's crazy as the madman, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt, in a dark-skinned woman. Well, the Elizabethan / Renaissance conception of beauty was white. How white? That white. Look at the, I think it's the Dulwich. Dulwych or ICH. Might be in here. Portrait of Queen Elizabeth. She is like powdered sugar white. Why? Because she literally powdered her face. And I don't mean a little bit of powder to take the shine, to take the oily appearance of skin. I mean like Casper the Ghost white. That was the model of beauty. Anything not that white was taken to be not beautiful. Shakespeare's taking that image and completely flipping it. Okay? The poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling. Why is his eye rolling? Because it's crazy. Okay? The poet's eye does what? Doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, and as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them to shapes and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. Like Athens, the wood. Next play. The city, I don't remember what the city's name is. Arden. Or the beginning of Henry V. Imagine this round O is the fields of Agincourt. Okay? That's what he's talking about. The poet does what? Looks from there to here, here to there, and the imagination bodies forth. That is, the poet sits down with a piece of paper and a pen and says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, or in a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Did there ever really live a hobbit? Nope. Was there ever really a prince named Hamlet? Nope. Okay? He gives body, shape to things unknown. Such tricks hath strong imagination, that if it would but apprehend some joy, it comprehends some bringer of that joy. Notice what he's saying here. The imagination is a tool of knowledge, or the imagination is a means of acquiring knowledge. So, if the imagination can apprehend some joy, if it can grab, touch some joy, then it says, there must be some source of that joy. It comprehends. That is, it reaches behind to find the source. Okay. Theseus / Shakespeare is being very philosophical here. He's saying If there is, for example, such a thing as love, there must be something behind, some bringer of that love. There must be some ultimate source of love or joy. Maybe that's too highfalutin an example. Or in the night, imagining some fear, how easy is a bush supposed to bear? Or how easy, go back to your childhood or read the Berenstein's Bears, book. You're lying in bed at night, you're 5 years old, and you see a shadow in your room. And your mind starts playing tricks with you so that shadow, maybe a robe, hanging on a bedpost or something else, suddenly is no longer just a robe. It becomes what? Some kind of intruder or something like that. Or you hear a tree branch scraping against the wall or the window, and what happens? Somebody's trying to break in. Why? Because our imagination does what, we say? Plays tricks on us. Okay? Hippolyta listens to the speech. She says, yeah, but they all say the same thing. Can 4 people have the exact same dream? No. So if 4 people say the exact same thing, what do you kind of deduce from that? Maybe it really happened. Okay? So we then get the play within the play, which I'm going to skip most of. But I want a passage just before. Hippolyta says, in response to what Philostrate says, she says, but he says they can't do this. That is, he says that these actors cannot put on this play, that they'll mangle it. Well, listen to Theseus in line 89. And I know I'm way behind. The kind are we to give them thanks for nothing. Our sport, that is, our entertainment, shall be to take what they mistake. Okay? In other words, we've got to work a little bit here. We have to take to mean what they cannot do. And what poor duty cannot do, that is, what they're trying to do, noble respect takes it in might, not merit. Takes it in might. The might have been is one thing, one meaning of that. Takes it in might in ability. That is, we must show them respect and say, they're doing their best. Okay? So he gives an example. Where I have come, great clerks have purposed to greet me with premeditated welcomes. That is, they've had big, long speeches memorized to welcome me. Where I have seen them shiver and look pale, make periods in the midst of sentences, throttle their practiced accent in their fears, and in conclusion dumbly have broke off, not paying me a welcome. Great clerks, he says, have these magnificent speeches memorized, and then I come in and they're just dumbstruck. They can't speak. Trust me, sweet, out of this silence, yet I picked a welcome. What is this telling us about Theseus?
He's a forgiving audience.
He's a forgiving audience. Okay, that's one way of putting it. What else? Theseus is equivalent to the president. Okay? If he were the president, what's he saying? He comes into a room and, there's somebody who's supposed to walk in and the person is just completely tongue-tied. Does he say, get this moron out of my presence? No. He says, thank you. Showing what? Compassion. What else? Gratitude. Showing he is a quote-unquote big person. Big-hearted person. Okay? He says, out of the silence yet I picked a welcome. And in the modesty of fearful duty, I read as much from the rattling tongue of saucy and audacious eloquence. That is, from the person who couldn't utter word as much as from the person who went on and on. Okay? He says, I treated them what? Equally. This tells us a lot about Theseus' character. He's not this high-minded, supercilious, authoritarian, I'm Duke of Athens, everybody kneel before me. How is he going to take the play by the Rude Mechanicals, the most tragical, lamentable history of, Pyramus and Thisbe?
Comedy.
Okay? But how's he going to take it? He takes it how they intend it. How do Bottom, Quince, etc. intend this? What are they trying to do? They're doing their best, right? They're trying to put on an entertainment for the king. Do they mean it to be rip-roaringly funny? No, they don't. They don't. That's how it comes across. Okay? Bottom can't help himself. So that when he goes, I die, I die, I die, Okay, pretty much the first stab wound in the heart. You're not going to keep saying, I die, I die, I die. Okay? He just thinks, well, I'm gonna really give it all. Okay? So we get the play within the play. And what is the purpose of the play within the play? What's the play within the play about? Star-crossed lovers? The course of true love never did run smooth, Lysander said. Well, it definitely doesn't here. That is, within the play. But it does run smooth within the larger play. Does that mean it automatically or always does? No. The play within the play shows, one of the things at least, that A Midsummer Night's Dream could easily be a tragedy, right? And that is the truth in all of Shakespeare's comedies. Every one of them could easily become a tragedy. And the tragedies could likewise become comedies. Comedy simply meaning not full of laughs. Comedy meaning you get a rupture in society at the beginning of the play. What's the rupture in the society at the beginning of this play? Well, father against daughter, Demetrius against Lysander, etc. Could possibly end in death, right? Hermias. That's a pretty big rupture. And yet what happens by the end? And they all lived happily ever after. In other words, society is restored. Relationships are restored. Tragedies, just the opposite. In terms of the end, tragedy does often begin with that disruption, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Okay? So we get to the end of the play, and Bottom says, we can do more. And they're like, no, that's enough, please. Okay? And Puck comes out. Says a few lines. Oberon and Titania come out and say a few lines. And then Oberon says, now until the break of day, what are the fairies going to do? Let's go through this big house. And we'll do what? We'll go into each of the bedrooms. Okay? Specifically, the 3 marriage bedrooms. And do what? We will bless the inhabitants. So that what will be the fruit of these wedding nights? Beautiful children. None with birthmarks or defects. No hair lips. No idiots. And who is going to bless Theseus and Hippolytus? Oberon and Titania themselves. Why? King and queen, essentially. Okay? He leaves and all is trained so that Puck is the last one left on the stage. And sometimes this is done where Puck comes out and he's got a broom and he's just kind of sweeping the stage off. And he says, if we, what's the next word? Shadows. If we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended. that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. Imagine you've been sleeping and having dreams. And this weak and idle theme, that is, this play, or these dreams, these visions, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, he's talking to the audience. Notice he's addressing everybody as gentles. Gentlemen, gentlewomen. But not everybody is. Pretty much only the people in the gallery are gentle people. The groundlings standing in the yard, they're not gentlemen and gentlewomen. They're people like Bottom, and Peter Quince, and Snout, that is, daily workers. They paid their penny to get in there, and they have to stand. They bring their food, according to some evidence. Some of them, while the play is going on, relieve themselves right then and there. Okay? If they don't like what's going on in the play, they scoop up what's on the ground. Remember what I just said some of them do, and throw it at the stage. Okay? Gentles. Puck is saying, in my eyes, you're all gentle people. Gentles do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. That is, if you pardon us, we'll do better. And as I am an honest Puck, well, that's, if we have unearned luck now to escape the serpent's tongue, what's the serpent's tongue? Psst! Boo! It's the audience saying, get off the stage, buddy. We will make amends ere long, else the Puck a liar call. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends. That's what he means. Give us your applause. And the audience erupts into applause. Usually, if it's a good production. I don't think I've ever seen one where people haven't. Okay? So what is the idle theme? 3 hours of what? Nonsense? 3 hours of shadows? 3 hours of dreams? I mean, that's what the play calls itself. Does that mean Shakespeare doesn't have anything to say in here? No, it doesn't. Because he obviously does. You wouldn't get that speech of Theseus's if Shakespeare isn't trying to kind of plant some zingers into the audience's mind. Okay? Now, move from this to As You Like It. Okay? Midsummer Night's Dream, about 1595. As You Like It, right around 99 to 1600 or so. Okay? So a few years go by. As You Like It, one of the romantic comedies. Okay? Midsummer Night's Dream is not considered a romantic comedy, even though there is romance, obviously. And hopefully you read the introduction, talking about sources and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to skip that. But Shakespeare, in As You Like It, as he often does in some of his other plays, he has people take on roles of other people. So, for example, look at the Dramatis Personae, page 298. The list of the characters. You have Duke Senior, a banished senior, Duke Frederick, his usurping brother. Okay? Duke Senior is the older of the two brothers. That's one of the reasons he's named Senior. Okay? Duke Frederick is the younger brother who usurps his place. Shakespeare likes this theme, by the way. It's Claudius and Hamlet. In Hamlet, it's complete derailment of my train of thought. I can't remember what I was going to say. Okay, so then you have Rosalind. Rosalind, not Rosalind. Okay, who is the daughter of Duke Senior. Notice, later disguised as Ganymede. That is, she's going to go off into the forest of Arden and she's going to put on a disguise. She's going to pretend to be a boy. Why? because it's not safe for a young lady to be out in the woods by herself or even with her young lady friend. So to prevent rape or anything like that, they're going to pretend to be men. But then we're going to see in the play, she's going to be Rosaline, pretending to be Ganymede, pretending to be Rosaline, which Shakespeare just has all kinds of fun with. Okay? And I'm going to try to pull up a clip, not today, obviously, on Tuesday from one of the Globe productions, which is one of the best productions I've seen of this play. Okay? Then you have Celia, daughter of Duke Frederick. Okay? So Rosaline, daughter of Duke Senior, the one who's been banished. Celia, daughter of the banishing Duke, and these two are close friends. Okay? Then we have Oliver, Jaques, and that's how it's pronounced, it's not Jacques, Jaques and Orlando, sons of Sir Roland de Bois. Sir Roland de Bois is dead. Okay? Oliver is the eldest son, Jaques is in the middle, Orlando is the youngest. Okay? We're going to see a similar relationship between these two brothers, oldest and youngest, as we see between the other two. Only thing is, Oliver wants to get rid of the younger brother, rather than the younger brother trying to get rid of the older brother. Then we have Amiens and another Jaques, lords attending Duke Senior, and then a bunch of other folks. Okay? So the play begins with Orlando addressing Adam. Adam is an old guy, an old servant of Sir Roland de Bois. Shakespeare, memory tells me, Shakespeare played Adam. Okay? What's Orlando talking to him about? He's complaining about something. What about him?
He's denying him his education.
Yeah, he's denying him his education. He's denying him his family rights, essentially. Okay? So, Oliver comes in, and they start to argue. Okay? And I want to pick up, and this is why I have this up here. Okay? I want to pick up with line, let's start around 43. Orlando, okay, younger brother addressing older brother. I know you are my eldest brother, and in the gentle condition of blood, you should so know me. You, Y form. Okay? Oliver, go down to line 53. Wilt thou lay hands on me, villain? Okay? Pronoun usage in Shakespeare's day. The Y forms, you and ye, used to address a superior either of age or social status. Okay? Also used among the upper class to address equals. Same people of the same class, or people of the same class. Okay? The TH forms, thou and thee, used by older people or socially superior people to address younger people or socially inferior people. Also used, like within a family, to indicate intimacy. So you can have a son address a mother with the TH form. For example, Hamlet will address his mother, thou. In fact, there's one scene in Hamlet where they're just going back and forth in these. I mean, where each of them are switching, indicating at some points, okay, Gertrude will address Hamlet with this, essentially say, boy, know your place, I'm your mother. And Hamlet will use this in response to indicate he is her moral superior. Okay? So, Orlando addresses his brother with the Y forms. Why? Because he's younger and he's addressing his older brother. His older brother is also his social superior. Why? Because he inherits the title. Orlando doesn't. So then the older brother, looking down at his younger brother, says, wilt thou lay hands on me? Okay? Orlando, I am the youngest son of Sir Roland de Bois. He was my father. He is thrice a villain that says such a father begot villains. Wert thou not my brother? Wait, thou thee? Thought that's only by, no. Here, he's indicating intimacy. He's saying, you shouldn't be treating me like a superior. You should be treating me as a brother. Wert thou not my brother, I would not take this hand from thy throat, till this other had pulled out thy tongue for saying so. Thou hast railed on thyself. Adam then uses the Y form to both of them. Why? He's a servant. He's addressing both as being members of the upper class that he's not part of. Okay? So, what does Oliver, how do I say this? Employ Charles the wrestler to do? Wants him to kill his younger brother. You know? He says, page 300, line 130, Charles, I thank thee for thy love to me, which thou, okay, older or socially superior, which thou shalt find I will most kindly requite. And Charles uses the Y, addressing superior, etc. Okay. So then we see Celia and Rosaline come in, and we see the same kind of stuff going on with them. And I'm going to skip a bunch. We see Rosaline start to talk a little bit about, let's see here. I'm trying to just decide how much of this I should include. Let's skip that. Go to the little talk between Rosaline and Orlando, passage begins, I don't know, 173 and following. And I want to actually pick up with 175. Where Orlando addresses them. Okay? Rosaline essentially tells Orlando, don't wrestle Charles. He'll kill you. And he says, I beseech you, punish me not with your hard thoughts, wherein I confess me much guilty to deny so fair and excellent ladies anything. But let your fair eyes and gentle wishes go with me to my trial. In other words, don't discourage me, encourage me. Okay? Wherein if I be foiled, there is but one shame that was never gracious, if killed, but one dead that is willing to be so. Why is he willing to be so? Is he trying to get killed? I shall do my friends no wrong, for I have none to lament me. He's kind of saying, I'm alone in the world. The world no injury, for in it I have nothing. Orlando's kind of saying, what do I have to live for? I have no friends, I have no lover, I have no wealth. Only in the world I fill up a place which may better be supplied when I have made it empty. It's kind of like in the Harry Potter novel, the final Harry Potter novel, when somebody suggests that Dudley thinks Harry's nothing but a waste of empty space. And Dudley says, I don't think you're a waste of space. Orlando thinks he is a waste of space. Remove him, and that space can be utilized. Rosaline, the little strength that I have, I would. Would there means I desire. I wish it were with you. Celia, me too. Okay? So, Orlando comes out, addresses Duke Frederick, after he does what to Charles? defeats him. Okay, Charles is supposed to be this large, muscle-bound wrestler. Okay, Orlando not so much. He defeats him, and Duke Frederick asked him, "What's your name?" "Orlando, my liege, the youngest son of Sir Roland de Bois. I would thou had been son to some man else. I desire, I wish you had been some other man's son. Why? I like you, kid. I like you." But Sir Roland de Bois did not get along with Duke Frederick. "The world esteemed thy father honorable, but I did find him still mine enemy." Notice the juxtaposition there. The world thought him honorable, but who didn't? Duke Frederick. So if the world, if everybody thinks somebody is honorable and one person doesn't, where do you lay your chips? "Thou shouldst have better pleased me with this deed, hadst thou descended from another house. But fare thee well, thou art a gallant youth. I would thou hadst told me of another father." Okay? And he does what? He banishes him. Okay? So, Celia and Rosalind go up to Orlando, and she gives him a necklace. $235. "Gentlemen, wear this for me. One out of suits with fortune." Okay? Is the one out of suits of fortune gentleman, that is Orlando, or is it Rosalind? Because her father has been banished. It's wonderfully ambiguous. I think it's both, actually. They're both out of suit with fortune. That could give more, but that her hand lacks means. In other words, I could, but I don't have the ability. All right? They leave, or start to leave. Orlando, "Can I not say I thank you? My better parts are all thrown down, and that which here stands up is but a quintain, a mere lifeless block." Rosalind, he calls us back. "My pride fell with my fortunes. I'll ask him what he would." "Did you call, sir? You have wrestled well and overthrown more than your enemies. What else has he overthrown?" "Oh, Orlando. He has already won her." Okay? That's what she's saying. "Orlando, what passion hangs these weights upon my tongue?" In other words, she called back and he did what? He was like the person with the great speech addressing Theseus. Tongue-tied. "I cannot speak to her, yet she urged conference." In other words, she spoke to me, she asked, and I couldn't answer. "Oh, poor Orlando, thou art overthrown." Charles couldn't overthrow him, okay, but she could. Or Charles or something weaker masters thee. Okay? Act 1, Scene 3. So, Celia and Rosalind enter, and Celia wants to know, "What's up, Rosalind? Why are you being so quiet? Why are you being so pensive? Not a word, not one to throw at a dog. No, thy words are too precious to be cast away upon curse. Throw some at me. In other words, talk to me. Tell me what's happening." Then there were two cousins laid up, when the one should be lamed with reasons and the other mad without any. You're upset because of your father, right? Because your father having been banished? No, some of it is for my child's father. What? She doesn't have a child. What does she mean? Orlando. She's already thinking of him as her child's father. Oh, how full of briars is this working day world. Okay? What does she mean? How tangled, how painful this world is. Celia, they're but burrs, cousin, thrown upon thee in holiday foolery. If we walk not in the trodden paths, our very petticoats will catch them. In other words, if we walk on the appointed paths, if we do what we're supposed to do, we won't get hurt by the briars of this world. Okay? Rosalind, I could shake them off my coat. These burrs are in my heart. What are the burrs and briars she's talking about? They start with an O and they end with an O, and they have a Erland in the middle. Celia, hem them away, that is, cut them off. I would try if I could cry him and have him. Wrestle with thy affections. What does she mean? Overcome. In other words, down boy. Just Rosalind, oh, they take the part of a better wrestler than myself. Good wish upon you. You will try in time in despite of a fall. But turning these jests out of service, let us talk in good earnest. Is it possible in such a sudden you should fall into so strong a liking with old Sir Rowland's youngest son? She finally spits it out. Really? You just met him, and you already want him to father your children? The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly. My dad, Duke Senior, loved Sir Roland de Bois dearly. Celia. Okay, so she takes that, as I think any rational person would. Well, doth it therefore ensue that you should love his son dearly? That is, just because they were good friends doesn't mean you two have to be. Come on, girl. I mean, this is the 16th century after all. Let's get modern, really. I mean, by this kind of chase, I should hate him. Why? Because my father hated his father. And what else? She doesn't say it. And my father hates him. Yet I hate not Orlando. No, Faith, hate him not. For my sake. Doth he not deserve well? Celia asks. Okay. So Duke Frederick comes in. And he addresses Rosalind. You, cousin, within these 10 days, if that thou beest found so near our public courts as 20 miles, thou diest. In other words, you're banished. You can't come within 20 miles of the kingdom or the court. She says, why? Let me the knowledge of my fault bear with me. What have I done? How have I offended your highness? Thus do all traitors. If their purgation did consist in words, they are as innocent as grace itself. Let it suffice thee. Why is he banishing her? I trust thee not. That's it. I don't trust you. She's like, why? Why don't you trust me? You're your father's daughter. That's it. That's enough. Well, earlier she said, my father loved Orlando's father. That was enough for me to love her. So, I mean, the same logic applies here. She says, yeah, okay. I was also, your highness, so was I when your highness banished. Let me turn this off so it doesn't ring. So was I when your highness banished or took his dukedom. Probably not the best thing to say, because what has she just accused him of? Usurping the monarchy, dukedom, the dukearchy, okay? So was I when your highness banished him. Treason is not inherited, my lord. Or if we did derive it from our friends, what's that to me? My father was no traitor. In other words, she just up front in his face. You got rid of him for no good reason. Don't mistake me so much to think my poverty is treacherous. What's her poverty? I have no father anymore. I have no land anymore because he usurped it. Okay? Celia says, let me speak. Well, if she's a traitor, so am I. I mean, we've slept together. Not lesbians. They just mean, as happened in the Renaissance, they shared a bed. Okay? Rose at an instant, learned, played, eat together. Wheresoever we went, like Juno's swans, still we went, coupled and inseparable. We are closest friends. If you're calling her a traitor, then you have to say, I'm one too. No. He said, no, not you. She is too subtle for thee. In other words, he's telling Celia, she's pulled the wool over your eyes. You're not bright enough to see what she's done/doing. Her smoothness, her very silence, and her patience speak to the people, and they pity her. Okay, notice that. Her smoothness, her very silence. So what has she said to the people? Nothing. And the people what? Love her. The people love her, he says. Thou art a fool, she robs thee of thy name, and thou wilt show more bright and seem more virtuous when she is gone. So what's he really saying about Celia there? She's not as bright, not intellectually, but bright, appearance-wise, as popular in the common eye, or as virtuous as Rosalind. Therefore, trying to think of an analogy. Get the swimsuit model out of the picture and you'll look better. That's what he's saying. Okay? So how should Celia take this? You do this, then pronounce that sentence on me, my liege. I cannot live out of her company. Okay? So, he leaves. And what do? They say, all right, we're going to leave. And Rosalind is going to become Ganymede. Okay? And what will Celia become? Right, line 126. Aliena. In other words, I will be an alien. A stranger in a strange land. Okay? We'll pick up with Act 2 on Thursday. And we'll probably finish the play. That will more or less, if we can finish the play, get us caught up, I think.
Where did you get this?
One of former colleagues here who retired gave it to me. I'm going to post something sometime today, might be tomorrow, on D2L about the Nashville Shakespeare Festival's production of Hamlet on campus, the 1st through the 3rd. It'll be an extra credit opportunity, and I'll include instructions for, because it's not free, for how you can get half-price tickets as students.